We're live.
We are definitely alive.
Are we?
Who can say?
Not for long.
So no, I'm actually I'm recording. I'm in like full chill mode, man. I'm in my track pants. I'm recording from the bed rather than from the desk.
Hell yeah, dude.
Very nice. Very nice. We're also in chill mode. We got some wine going. It's Friday. We're inside. We would have been inside anyway. I don't know. I see a lot of people talking about it, and obviously, I mean, it's very understandable, but like, I don't know. I guess because the two of us work from home so often that I'm pretty much just inside all day anyway.
Same here, man.
So this hasn't really affected me too much.
I am starting to be affected by not having like one social interaction with someone that's not you per week.
That's fine. That won't become a problem.
I'm starting to be affected. I'm starting to be affected by the fact that like everybody else that lives in my house is now like also going to be here all day. Which is like
right.
Just extremely frustrating, as well as the fact that like they're continuing to send new residents to my house, which is
Jesus Christ.
Really?
Yeah, which
that's not a good idea.
No, I know, and like on the one hand, like I understand that like people that come. I mean, like, you guys know. I'm sure many of our listeners know, especially if this is a Patreon episode, that many of the this is a men's sober house. This is a halfway house, and a lot of the guys that live here. Otherwise they would be homeless, or they wouldn't be any place at all. Like, the guys that live here, they're here on rent assistance from the Department of Social Services and stuff. So like, this is sort of a vital thing, and I would hate for somebody to be turned away. But at the same time, like, they're not testing these guys.
Right.
I would like to see some level of precaution. Like, I understand, like, I mean, of course, I don't want to see anybody turned away, especially at a time like this, to have a place to live, but like, it's scary. So like, obviously, no matter how much precaution I try to take here, we're just going to keep getting new guys in, and
right.
Has anybody gotten sick?
Not yet. Not that I know of. But like, I mean, I'm responsible for this house. I'm responsible for, making sure everybody keeps the house clean and does what they got to do. But I can't babysit. I can't control everybody coming and going and everything they do. But like, the thing that concerns me is that, I've got some guys here that are older, not like elderly, but I got some guys here that are like over 50. I think I got one or two that are over 60. I got one guy that he tends to get sick often, and every time he gets like a common cold, it tends to move into his lungs. Like, it's already happened like twice since he's lived here.
Oof.
So like, someone like that, I certainly worry about what might happen to him were he to get it. So yeah, it's stressful because I feel I'm responsible for these guys to a degree. So welcome to the comedy podcast, everybody. Welcome back to Eat the Rich. This is a show about late stage capitalism or some shit.
You got
billionaires, and the multinational corporations hell bent on staving off its death rattle or something. I don't know. As you guys can tell,
yes.
Yeah, Dwight, our rock is not here with us this week.
Yeah.
We're like little baby lambs just lost out in the wilderness trying to navigate.
The lunatics have taken over the asylum, folks. All right.
Yeah. Just trying to navigate doing this thing on our own. I don't know how you guys doing. We got Cari here with us as well.
Hey, what's
third
up?
or is it third or fourth time returning guest?
I think this might be fourth.
Who knows?
This is a grand slam.
That's right. Is that what that is?
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
that's like
Home run.
home run. 4 times a home run.
We like
I don't
sports
know.
here.
Yeah, I'm a big sports fan.
sports
Oh, yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we're not sick anymore, so that's really good.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And immediately getting drunk. The second we're not
Cheers.
sick. You got to keep that immune system up.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of thought you were getting drunk the entire time.
Yes, he was, actually.
I don't mean to out you.
Oh, is it a crime?
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
It's normal. Actually, wine helps with the coronavirus.
Nothing does. It's all
Nothing
lies.
does. No, I saw like they were saying not to take ibuprofen. Is that a thing?
And we were taking it the whole time we
Yeah.
were sick, so that was fucking stupid, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. None of us know.
Did you see the president was like saying that malaria medication would work for it?
I don't think I saw that. Was that it's like today or something?
It was last night. I guess he said like, oh, I don't know if it's chloroquine or chloroquine, but he was like, oh, chloroquine will be good for it, like it works. And then like 2 seconds later, he's like, oh, well, it doesn't work. And then he's like, well, it'll work. You gotta get a prescription. And then like 10 minutes later, the FDA had to release a statement saying like, no, this is not happening.
I saw the thing a couple weeks ago where he was asking them if the flu vaccine would work, and it was just like man, like just imagine like like you're one of the top infectious disease specialists or whatever in the country, and like like on the eve of like the outbreak of a very dangerous and deadly and life-altering pandemic, you've been called to the White House to brief the president, and he's just gonna sit there and just like the stupidest person in the country is asking you if the flu vaccine is gonna, like, why can't the flu vaccine stop it?
He said like he naturally understands how this stuff works, and maybe he should have done this instead of running for president. I guess this being like running medical stuff. I don't know.
Why doesn't the president simply just fire the coronavirus?
That's right.
He's so good at it. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because with it, like, I mean, even the obviously right now the main focus, and this is what our episode, our most recent episode was about, was the idea of like the testing kits and making the testing kits available. But even to a certain extent, not to get too like alarmist or whatever. I mean, that is really only to track the virus. That doesn't actually treat it or anything. You know what I mean? Like,
that's
even
like the baseline that you would need to start to try to contain
right, exactly.
it.
I mean, as far as I understand, the main like kind of danger with it is the respiratory problems it can create, in which case the main treatment they can do is put you in like an ICU ventilator or whatever at a hospital. And so that is like, that's where a lot of the focus, and obviously that's something that can only really be done with like huge amounts of preventative, like a preventative infrastructure set up to
Elon
like
Musk
accommodate
has it. Don't even worry about it, dude.
Oh yeah, he said he's gonna make the ventilators.
He's gonna build the tiny fucking like magic school bus. He's gonna build tiny little fucking submarines, and he's gonna shrink them down, and then he's going to like literally pilot them into people's lungs.
Then he's gonna inexplicably call like the president or someone a pedophile.
Well, he might not be wrong.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of nice having nobody here that has to scream allegedly.
Yeah. This is the last episode.
Everything's just gonna be beeped out.
No, but like on the topic of the ventilators, like I know, like for instance, here in New York, like I think that they were saying that like they were estimating that possibly by May, at the peak of the illness here, we're gonna need like 25,000, 35,000 ICU beds with ventilators, and like I think we currently have 3,000 statewide, and like 80% of those beds are like already full. Just
Yeah.
Right, of course, yeah.
Because it's not even just the virus; it's the people that are just like regular sick with shit that they would be in the ICU for.
Sure, and like
right, yeah, that's all. It's all going to compound. Yeah. Like all of those things are going to compound at the same time.
Right, and like you were saying about the about the testing, and like this idea of like flattening the curve, and like these buzzwords that keep getting thrown around. Like my mom keeps talking about like when I talk to my mom about it, like I don't want to scare her. Like when she talks about this like social distancing thing and the like flattening the curve, like she thinks that like she seems to think that if we just all do that for a couple weeks, it's gonna like stop it. But like it's really just like we're just trying to slow it down enough so that our like healthcare infrastructure doesn't entirely collapse.
Right, exactly.
And it's like I'd be realistic with her, but like I don't want to scare her. Like,
I mean, realistically, it's just like too late to actually flatten the curve, like in that graph that they keep
it's
showing.
Too late.
Like, it's just not gonna happen.
It's too late.
Yeah.
It needed to be in place like before this started. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, and like again, like to talk to my mom about it, and to hear her talk about like I don't know, she watches a lot of Fox News. Like I'm sure she picks up a lot of what she repeats to me.
Oh, of course,
from Fox News. But she keeps talking about how this is all China's fault, and like how China deceived everybody and lied, and like how China could have like she keeps throwing around this figure like China could have prevented 95% of cases if they like acted earlier. But like what do you mean acted earlier? Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right,
like
exactly.
Like, that's a mirror.
like nobody in this country took this, like, this is like until like a week ago.
I mean,
Nobody
there are
fucking-
still people who aren't taking it seriously. I mean, Carrie, you showed me that video of like the
Dude.
spring
Oh, sure,
breakers.
Did you
sure.
see that?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, like,
yeah.
and of course the difficulty there is like the mistake that I think those kids are making, and I've seen this echoed in a few other spaces as well, is that obviously if you're relatively young and you're already relatively healthy, you don't have prior respiratory issues, and you don't have, any other kind of like health pre-existing medical condition, it's unlikely that if you catch coronavirus that it's going to be fatal. But like the mistake in focusing simply on that is twofold. Like, first of all, it would still suck to get really sick.
Yeah.
Sure.
And second of all, the problem is not so much in terms of it just affecting you, it's then you can become a vector
Right,
to spread
right.
it, right? Like, that's the issue. Like, I'm sure loads of young people are going to, have either incredibly minor symptoms or maybe even display no symptoms at all, but still catch
Right.
it and
They're
then
gonna go back
spread
to fucking
it.
Connecticut and get their parents and grandparents sick. Like,
Yeah.
that's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, and like, I mean, and I think that, we've been seeing stuff, emerge about that, like, maybe what everybody's been saying about how it's not going to affect young people as much is a little bit overblown. I mean, there have been deaths of people, in their 40s or younger. I mean, I've seen stories about, potentially, like, even when you do recover, like, perhaps with decreased lung function. So I don't know, but like it's far, when I was saying about people taking it seriously, I meant far less like even like people like us, like regular people. I meant like people in government, like
Right,
like
of
what,
course.
what we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
discovered is that like they knew how like as far back as mid to late January, like they were taking it seriously enough to like unload a bunch of stock so they could protect
those
their own
motherfuckers.
financial
That bitch
interests.
invested in Citrix.
Yes.
The freaking go-to meeting software. Like, she invested in online fucking meeting software.
So like they
Disgusting.
absolutely knew what was coming, enough that they safeguarded their own, financial interest.
Right.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that there's like people from Manhattan going out to like the Hamptons?
Yes.
They're panic buying houses.
Huh?
They're literally panic buying houses.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I think that Newsday article. I think we probably all read the same one.
Yeah, and they're like fucking cleaning out the grocery store so the poor people are just fucked.
Right. And like, I saw like one lady in particular, like coming from Manhattan, like already knew she had it, and like rather than just simply like quarantining herself in her fucking like Upper East Side fucking mansion in Manhattan, she had to come out to her fucking like home in the Hamptons and immediately go to the hospital there and fucking fuck everybody else up.
Monstrous.
Have you guys ever been to the Hamptons?
No.
I went to rehab in West Hampton. But that's about it. No, I've never been to Montauk. I've never been to like East Hampton, or no.
I went once. I don't want to call the associated people out, but I went once to an art fair in the Hamptons, like in the super rich Hamptons. I was accompanying somebody else at the time. I was just sort of like tagging along, and I said, "Fuck it, I might as well go check this out." And like the obscenity of wealth. I mean, it was like an outdoor like tent city they had built in the middle of some like former farm field where art was being sold. And by art here, this is like, when all of the whatever weird reactionary people blab on about what they think like modern art is or whatever. It was like a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of like very weird abstract
The
stuff.
kind of stuff that would be hanging in John Podesta's home.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it was literally, and then everybody walking around was either a millionaire or a billionaire looking at these pieces of art that were like tens of thousands of dollars a piece, if not more. And I remember there was like one, like, so all these like different artists travel from far around, mostly visual artists, sculptors, photographers and stuff, and they go to like sell their wares there. And there was this one guy who had a booth, and it was just like, it was like money. Like the art was just like large, like vinyl blow-ups of like American currency, like the dollar bills and like $100 bills, like a huge, like imagine like something the size of like a coffee table, but it's like a bunch of crumpled up $100 bills.
It was actual money.
No, it wasn't actual money. It was
okay.
like somebody had taken like, high resolution scans,
Okay.
which I'm pretty sure is illegal, but they took like high res scans of various denominations of currency, blew them up to like 100 times, and then would like crumple them up, and then it would seal it with some kind of epoxy or whatever, epoxy, plasticine shit. So it was just like a sculpture of just like crumpled money.
And then charge rich people like $10,000.
And then charge, they went for like $50,000 a piece.
That's great, dude.
And people were buying them.
So when I lived in Sausalito, California for a little while. I lived there on a sailboat in the bay. There's a community, they call them anchor outs, of like people who live it's like almost like a bohemian type community. It's like existed in one form or another since like the 50s or the 60s out there in the San Francisco Bay, and like Sausalito's pretty known for this, and like pretty known for this little like bohemian community. But it's like it's a extremely wealthy town. It's like where all the like the most obscenely wealthy of San Francisco like live, outside of town. And there's this one guy that lived on a sailboat there. His name was Bo. He went by Bo Van Bo, and he was like this just insane old man. I think he was from North Carolina originally, but he lived on a sailboat out there, and he had for decades. And he painted pictures of like sailboats and like marine type scenes and stuff. But it was like stick figures and stuff, and he would charge rich people. Like he would just like paint this shit all day, and there'd be like art fairs and stuff like in town, and rich people would come, and he was kind of like a little like local celebrity. But like to talk to him frankly, like he was just fucking ripping off rich people, and he loved it. Like he would just draw like essentially like a stick figure, picture of a person and like a little simple sailboat, and then charge like rich people like a couple $100 for it.
Dude, that's what I should do.
Yeah, sell a couple of those. They'd have like a big art fair every year, and he would make bank, absolutely make bank. Yeah. So good for him.
The most like abhorrent one that I saw at that art fair was there was a guy who is a photographer who took photographs of like working people and sort of like people from economically depressed and distressed areas in urban centers in upstate New York, and he would take like these kind of profile photographs of them, and they were often quite striking and beautiful photographs. I mean, the guy was talented, and he would take these photographs of them, and then like he would do all this stuff in post, especially with like color timing and stuff, and then render them in these like really beautiful, exquisite canvases. But again, they were all photographs of like people where like very expressive faces of people who had a lot of like wrinkles or a lot of craggy things in their faces, like those kinds of like depression era photographs that you've seen, right? Like he would take those, and then he would usually like he would talk to the people from those communities, he'd get consent for their photographs, and I think he would give them a little bit of money. He'd give them like $50. I mean, a lot of these people were like, again, either like unemployed or very underemployed, and then he was selling them at this fair for like between like $50,000 and $80,000.
Jesus Christ.
And this one guy, I remember I was talking to the photographer a little bit, and he made a sale to this one guy who was like a billionaire, and the billionaire was like walking around with his wife, and I mean, this was like over 10 years ago, so I don't remember too many of the details super clearly, but the billionaire was walking around with his wife, and he was like, oh honey, wouldn't that look so great over like our staircase? And it was like this picture of this unemployed and I believe homeless man from this city upstate. And so it was just like this weird class like moment of recognition for me. It was just like in the most parasitic way.
Right.
Not only has this class worked to like fucking destroy this man's life, but now here they have this aesthetically pleasing rendition of like
his misery.
Again, when I say of his misery, I mean they're photographs that communicate like sheer misery.
Yeah. It's
like,
not a real person to them.
Right, exactly. It's just it's a purely aesthetic thing, and I don't know, maybe somehow in their minds they think that this is like them being woke. Of course, but more likely it was just like, oh, this is an interesting looking photograph.
I mean, even if it's them being woke, it's like, oh, we're aware of how we're ruining the world.
Right, exactly. So. It's just awful dog shit.
I got photographed, like something very similar sounding. Like when I was in San Francisco, I got somebody, I don't know, they explained it as they were some sort of art project or something, but they asked if they could take my picture, and then so I just like, I was like walking around like in the Mission District, and I think I had like my guitar slung over my back or something, and like they like stopped me and like, oh, can I get your picture? And they like asked me to talk about who I was and what I was doing and where I was going or something. But like they didn't seem like it didn't strike me as any sort of like raising awareness of the homeless type thing. It struck me as like
Right.
Like,
It was just like
just purely, like art type thing. I'm not sure. So no, I've actually like Googled. I've tried to find like like art projects, like photographs of the homeless in San Francisco. So I've tried to like look online to see if I could. It would be very surreal and bizarre if I could ever find that picture.
Your portrait is hanging up in some fucking Silicon Valley. Jeff Bezos right now is looking at a picture of you, and the only like just dessert for that I can imagine is that one day like he looks at the photograph and instead of your face on it, it's just your Avi with the monkey smoking the cigarette, and then he looks outside and there's just like 10 guys all wearing monkey masks, smoking cigarettes, just staring inside his house.
Yeah. Peter Thiel paid $80,000 for that picture of me.
For the pleasure of looking at me.
Oh, God.
Oh, what an awful thing. Speaking of art, folks.
Great segue, sweetie.
Thank you. I was waiting to land that. Speaking of the art world, I mean, hey, you're listening to this show. It's most likely you're inside, wrapped in 50 different sweaters for some bizarre reason, having lined your house with lead and egg crates to save yourself from
Remember
coronavirus.
plastic sheeting and duct tape? Remember that?
Yeah, you've taped newspaper all over the windows.
Busted out all of the plastic sheeting and duct tape that you've been hoarding since the early days of the War on Terror.
That's right.
And so what are you doing? You're going online looking for comfort, but you're also checking out some cool films. And that's what we've been doing, folks. And so we were going to talk about some hits and misses from the world of cinema today. Let's talk about a hit. I have been dying to talk to you about this since we recorded that last episode. Fury Road.
Oh.
He fucking loves this
it ruled.
shit, dude.
It was so good, right?
It was
really
awesome.
good.
Yeah. No, I watched it that night, and like ever since I watched it, I've been wanting to watch it again. Because the coolest thing about it, I think, and like I described it to you, it reminded me it was a far better film than 300, but it reminded me in a way of 300, in that there's so many just bizarre, like little grotesque characters and just like little strange scenes that like I just feel like you could go back again and again and again, and you can watch like that guy, like that big fat guy, and I remember like at one point you could see he's got this like big grotesque foot or something.
Yeah, he's got like gout.
Yeah, there's like that,
he's got,
and then there was
gout.
like the crow people on the stilts. Like that was the first thing I think I texted you about. Like who the fuck are the crow people in the swamp on the stilts? Yeah, there's so many like just odd little moments like that. Really cool, really beautiful, really cool picture.
I mean, super stunning, just even on a visual level and on an excitement level. Like that's why I mean I hadn't watched it for a couple of years, and then me and Cari watched it right before we recorded that episode, and somehow it trickled into my mind, and it just occurred to me like it works on so many levels because again, like you were saying, like visually it's so striking, and then the action is so compelling and well done, like that even just on the base level of like an exciting film it works, but then also like thematically it has really cool and interesting themes that it manages to get off with without having like a huge amount of dialogue, because it's a relatively like dialogue low film, and if anything, that the only like minor criticism I would have of it is like some of the dialogue's like a little on the nose.
Like what?
Well, there's like the scene in spoiler alert,
Spoiler alert for Mad Max Fury Road, which
that
is
came
like
out
10 years old.
5 years old.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
But there's a scene between Max and Furiosa in one of the downtime moments of the chase, and they're like kind of talking to each other about what their ambitions are or whatever. And she says like, oh, the women, like the wives of Immort and Joe, they're looking for hope. And he goes, what are you looking for? Redemption. And it's like a little on the nose, but it's still, I mean, it's so distilled and basic. And that's why like I dug up this old review I had written for
really?
it. Yeah.
I'm excited.
I had a failed digital media project. One of many.
You've never once told me about this.
I have almost certainly mentioned my many failures.
You're gonna have to post it now.
I don't know if I'll post it. I mean, it's for a movie that came out 5 years ago. But I mean, I'm not gonna like read from it or whatever. I'm just gonna in summary. The thing that I really liked about it and struck me, because I was like blown away when I saw it in theaters, and what I was kind of getting at is like in big budget action movies, like you're not usually gonna find incredibly developed politics. And I don't know, there's like this whole question about like morality or problematic media and stuff, and I think some of that is valid, and I think some of it goes too far in the sense of like some of it's just like fucking entertainment. As long as you're kind of aware of what the messages are in it, it's not necessarily so bad.
It's okay to enjoy things.
Yeah, like it's fine, right? But with like Mad Max Fury Road, what I really liked about it is that, I don't know, Chris, have you seen any of the other Mad Max films?
I have not, and I noticed that they are both available on Plex, so I probably will be watching them pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I was always a big fan of the franchise growing up, and just because like I've always been intrigued by the post-apocalyptic setting. And so basically in the other films, at least in Road Warrior and Thunderdome, the whole like kind of final act of those movies is always about escape, right? It's always about like we have to get out of this horrible barbarous scenario so that we can go somewhere else and like start to rebuild civilization. And the movies are always told in this kind of retroactive way at the end, where you find out like, you're learning about this story or this kind of mythical character of Max only insofar as he like helped this group of people escape, and now you're hearing from them like decades or generations later.
Oh, really?
Telling this story.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
I mean, those are usually very like minor moments at the end of the film, but the whole idea then of Max as a character is that he's supposed to be this like wandering dark age hero, right?
I see.
And so like you learn about him again through the lens of like looking back into the past, and it's always about escape to escape from barbarism to like make a new society. And what Fury Road does, and it's a very subtle change, but I do think there's some kind of like element of radical politics embedded in it, even if it wasn't like fully intentional or whatever. Like, because the whole film is escape, right? Like that was the first step, right? Like the whole film is like, it starts off, the whole film is the third act of those later films where there's like a big car chase and they're trying to leave a bad scenario. But in this case, the bad scenario that they're leaving is the society, right? Instead of like starting in a place where like, oh, we're living in this like post-apocalyptic barbarism, we have to go and rebuild. Right. They're living in a rebuilt society, and its priorities are like war, the production of munitions and gas, and despotism. Right. And so we're trying to leave this tyranny to flee. And then what happens at the end, right, is that they find out this place that they were trying to get to doesn't exist anymore. And so the whole idea of escaping the horror is like fantasy. It's like literally escapism.
All they can do is fix their own society.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's then where redemption comes in, and at the very end is where they make the decision, instead of continuing to flee, we should turn around and actually go back and fix the society that we came from. And that for me is like, especially in a kind of moment where we're grappling with the potential of like a severe apocalypse, and and there is a lot of ideas about escapism or fantasy that can lead us out of it. The reality is, at the end of the day, the real way to achieve like redemption or some kind of better society is you like have to go back and fix what was wrong. Yeah, you can't just escape from it.
I still really loved when they killed Immortan Joe.
Oh no, I mean, that's awesome. That was so cool.
That was so tight.
When they ripped his fucking face off.
Hell yes, dude.
It fucking rules.
I know, dude, I can't stop thinking about the electric guitar guy.
Oh, it's so cool. So fucking cool.
Very cool. Dane loves that guy. Every time he was on screen, he was dying.
Like, doesn't seem to like I know his fucking guitar like shoots flames, but like he just seems he's like the bugle corps or something. Like he doesn't seem like he's there to fight or anything.
No, that's
right,
his job,
exactly,
man.
yeah.
He's a hype man.
And by the way, the other cool thing, as just on a production element, which I really do think makes this movie stand out, is that none of that was CGI. Like, they actually built that whole contraption. They actually had him playing guitar. It was a musician from
Australia.
From an Australian metal band. Yeah, was actually playing the guitar, and the
so cool.
vehicle that he's hooked up to with all the amps behind him actually they were real amps, and they were playing what he was playing.
Wow.
So while they were driving around and shooting in the desert in Namibia, I believe, while they were driving around, they would actually be playing like the music and stuff.
And they were really on those fucking like poles.
Yeah,
like,
the swinging pole things. That for me towards the end of the film is like the coolest, like real practical effect thing they do with the guy swinging back and forth, and they grab him and stuff. Oh my god, it's so fucking cool.
So dangerous.
It's so cool.
So, like, what was the concept of like the blood bag and like all that kind of stuff? Like, is that stuff that was like in the other Mad Max movies?
Not so much.
Because I felt like that seemed like unexplained. Like I really didn't understand what that was even about.
Well, the part of the decision making I think that went into this film was really to like create this whole society, but not like explain any of it and just give you the little clues from it.
Right. Yeah. And I was wondering if that's what it was, or if I just like if there was some explanation from the other movies that I just didn't.
No. That like the society we see in Fury Road is only shown in Fury Road. In the other films, there's other like little enclaves of civilization and things that exist. But in that one, the idea behind that is that like the Earth is so irradiated and awful that all like the new people are born into it are all kind of, especially like the war boys are all like sickly and dying, and so they use like human livestock as basically as a blood donation, which again thematically through the theme of redemption is done so well in the film, because at the end of the movie Max does that to save Furiosa's life. He turns himself back into the fucking blood bag to save her life.
Right.
It's such a perfectly fucking constructed movie, and it's directed by the guy who did Happy Feet.
That's really weird. I don't.
And fucking Babe. He did the Babe movies. Yeah, he did Babe, Pig in the City. I'm pretty sure he did both of them. Yeah, after Mad Max, he did Babe.
I was gonna say, it's kind of interesting, like the blood bag thing and all the other random references. In a way, you're kind of like experiencing it through the main character, like through Mad Max's perspective. Like he's just hearing people call him a fucking blood bag. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Right, exactly. Which again, I think is what makes it compelling, and to just quickly dip back into the Dark Age stuff. Like I've always been, part of the reason why I like the way that franchise treats post-apocalyptic movies is I've always been super fascinated with like Dark Ages and history.
Sure, yeah.
Because there's been a number of them, even if you just look isolated in like Western history, which is not the way that we're taught to understand history, as like a linear thing where like progress is always going up. I mean, you have like obviously the post-Roman Empire Dark Ages, but even way before that, there was this period of the collapse of the Bronze Age, and like all of like we don't really know anything about those periods except what comes from like mythos, like so like the Trojan War and the Odyssey are both myths about this like collapse of the Bronze Age, Dark Age. And like to me it's I don't know, it's a way to think about and look at history, especially given our current predicament with climate change, global pandemics, and all the other things that we're facing, right? Like because it seems more and more likely that we could enter a dark age again, and that the assumption that like things will just continue to linearly progress upwards and technology will continue to progress upwards doesn't have as much currency now. And so looking at like how the society's dealt with that, and also interestingly too, those stories from the past that we have, like again the Homeric epics from the period of the Bronze Age, or like even like stories like Beowulf and stuff about the European Dark Age, like they're all like deeply violent stories, but they're stories that were told hundreds of years after they purportedly were supposed to happen, and the violence in them, at least some scholars believe, the violence in them is not meant to be like heroic. The whole point of them being super violent stories is to actually be like, that's how bad that time period was.
Sure.
Like that's what had descended. And that for me, again, to tie it back to Mad Max, like because there's a certain element where you could say like, oh, like any other action film, it's aestheticizing, it's glorifying violence, but I think you could read it in the same way, where it's actually showing like this is where our society is headed, you know? I mean, it's like the whole premise is based off of the last civilization that exists in this post-apocalypse is like a war-driven civilization over oil and natural resources in the middle of a giant desert, which really is just like an extrapolation from where we are right now. You know? Yeah. It's not like, it's just like if you took what the priorities of the powerful were right now and you just put it, you know, a few decades or 100 years in the future in the fucking wasteland, like it's just the same kind of priorities. God, this was supposed to be uplifting, right?
I'm gonna do a segue. You ready?
Yeah,
do it.
Okay, in a way, the story arc in Gremlins 2 acts like a microcosm of the rise and fall of a civilization. What's up?
Oh, are we talking about Gremlins 2 now?
Yeah.
That was my segue to Gremlins 2.
I dig
it.
it.
That was really good.
I dig it.
So, Chris, you just saw it for the first time?
No, I've seen it before.
Okay.
A long time ago, and when I was a kid, and like this was the first time I guess I really watched it with any sort of like, I don't know, like analytical lens or whatever. Purely not as like a kid's movie or whatever. But no, it was cool, and it's funny. It's uncanny in a way that like so much of what would have at the time seemed like far-fetched or like satirical. It's crazy just how much we've caught up as a society to like what happens in Gremlins 2. Like specifically, like obviously the Clamp character and like the Clamp Tower and like this like version of like obviously based on Donald Trump. But like I thought what was interesting is like the way in which like the building like monitors you and the way they like manage all of your time, and like there's the guy that gets fired on the spot for taking like an unauthorized cigarette break, and like all like sort of like smart technology that's like I guess supposed to make your life easier but like also kind of like traps you as well. Right. It was like that's literally the society we live in now. Like that's not even that's not even like a satire anymore. Like that's it's
surveillance capitalism.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish we had Gremlins.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the way you put it is so great in terms of, like, the technology that's supposed to make your life easier but ultimately traps you. I mean, that's one of the things that, again, they're not, like, deeply political films, the Gremlins movies, but, that, like, the core premise of them is, like, that the Gremlins fuck everything up, right? And, like, ruin all the technology and the little gadgets and stuff. And particularly in the second one, like, in the Giant Tower, right? They just, like, kind of take it to its extreme, and it's a way of, like, I don't know, I've always deeply felt like alienated by the reliability, not just from like institutions, but just from like regular people on like the magics of contemporary like digital technology, and the way people are like, oh, this is so easy and great, and I can't ever get the goddamn machines to work.
He's talking about me. I'm the one that's like, why don't you just do this? It's really easy. And
they don't work. They don't work. The machine don't work.
You gotta tell it to do the beep boops in the right order, and it works.
It absolutely does not.
Hates technology.
The shit is always breaking, is my point. Like, all of the things that are supposed to make your life better are constantly in a process of just like thermodynamic fucking decay.
Okay, but
like, nothing works.
But at the same time, you're sitting next to somebody that you only met because of technology, doing a podcast with somebody who's one of your best friends now, and basically like something that would have been magic like 20 years ago. Like, this is very cool. This is technology.
Yeah, I can take it or leave it.
Chris, what are some of your other favorite scenes from Gremlins 2?
No, actually, no. You know what was really interesting? There's the scene where the Clamp character is like he's watching, I guess, like the pre-recorded segment that they're showing for the end of the world.
Oh yeah,
and like that's a real thing that Ted Turner had.
Yeah,
Like Ted Turner had like literally like a pre-recorded. I don't remember exactly what it was. It may have been like a Marine band like playing the national anthem or the Star Spangled Banner or some shit, but like literally, like they had a pre-recorded message that they were going to play like in the event of the apocalypse or in the event of the end of the world. So we should do one of those. We should do one of those. Yeah, we should do one of those. No, I forgot Christopher Lee was in it. Christopher Lee.
Oh, he's great. He's so good.
Yeah, he's great at it. But no, it's funny, like, and like, especially like the Clamp character, like he's so on the nose. It's like probably at the time he would have only been like a sort of like a loose parody of Donald Trump. But like, I feel like Donald Trump as a person and as a character has almost like grown into that type of person. Because like specifically there's there's a couple scenes like towards the middle and the end of the movie when like Clamp is like outside and they're like hanging that like giant sheet or whatever across the front, and he's like wearing a hard hat and shit, you know what I'm saying? And then like at the end, like when the SWAT team storms the building and like the Clamp character, like he's like leading the SWAT team and stuff, like that's the kind of stuff that like certainly Donald Trump wouldn't actually lead the SWAT team, but like
He would try.
that's the kind of stuff he likes to claim. Like, remember he claimed that, like,
Right, yeah.
you know, if he'd had a gun, he would have stopped the Parkland shooting. And
Oh, that's right. God, dude.
Yeah.
God.
yeah, it's funny.
yeah.
Like, it's almost it works so much as a parody of, in addition to what Donald Trump was in the '80s, but like what Donald Trump is today as a leader.
That's our president.
Pretty funny.
So for a long time, they've had a Gremlins reboot in the works. I believe it's still kind of along the ways, and I think they're doing it as like a soft reboot. So it's going to be just called Gremlins, and the main character, Billy Peltzer, is going to probably be in it as like an older guy and
really?
passing the torch or whatever.
Oh,
But
shit.
my contention for the last few years has been, instead of doing a stupid fucking reboot where you just redo the same movie, but now it's CGI and inevitably it's just like way worse and less funny and everything. Gremlins 3 in the White House.
Yes.
And Donald Clamp is now president,
Yeah.
you know?
Baron
And the Gremlins-
Clamp finds Gizmo.
Yeah. And the president, like, the Gremlins get into Congress. And
The
they take...
intellectual one is
Yeah,
like,
the brainy gremlin becomes like the
Yes.
Speaker of the House.
Yes.
And all of the other, like, it cuts to a shot and everybody in Congress, they're all gremlins and they're like, yay, nay.
Yes.
They're like voting on bills and they just destroy the U.S. economy. They're
Yes.
like launching nukes and missiles and like
I want a lady
attacking
brainy
the
gremlin
world.
for feminism.
Yeah. You'll have the Nancy Pelosi gremlin.
Right.
Who's like, means test. and then the president has to call in Billy Peltzer into the Oval
Yes.
Office. And then you can have, like, you know, different characters representing all the various ghouls from the last several administrations, and the gremlins just like fucking destroy them one by one.
Dude, we should write this script. I'm not even joking.
So here's a moral and philosophical question for you. Why is it that, like, so after Gizmo gets wet and like all the the nasty gremlins all like pop out of him or whatever, why is it that like the first thing that they all want to do is like immediately start terrorizing Gizmo? Like what does that say? What does that say about like our drive to, like, I don't know, like kill God or like destroy our destroy our creators, or just, you know what I'm saying? Like why is that the first thing that they want to do?
That's the okay boomer thing of the new Gremlins. They're looking back at the old generation and saying fuck you,
They
old
want to
man.
murder them.
Yeah.
Here's another moral and philosophical question. So if you've got Gizmo, so like, okay, you get, and this is the question I was left with at the end of the second Gremlins, when they walk away to take Gizmo home, and he's like, excited to go watch cable TV or whatever. But like, as good intention and as good natured and as sweet as Gizmo is, it's never his intention to get wet. But like, inevitably, he's curious and he's playful and whatever. And like, at least 2 times it's been proven that inevitably, despite his best intentions and Billy's best intentions, he is going to get wet. And every time he gets wet, you have this potential disaster that unfolds with all these gremlins that come out that want to try to terrorize and kill people. So like, would it not be morally correct to just kill Gizmo?
Yeah, dude, he's gotta die.
The guillotine.
Yeah, dude.
The
Little
Committee for
tiny
Public Safety.
guillotine.
I mean, it seems like in the interest of public safety, Gizmo's just got to be.
Dude, for sure.
Oh, wait. That's it. For Gremlins 3 in the White House, the way that the Gremlin thing happens again is the military gets a hold of Gizmo.
They're trying to harness the power of
Yeah,
Gremlin.
and they're like, we're
Yes.
gonna use the Gremlins to, like, fucking attack Iran or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the Gremlins all go haywire and take apart the industrial military complex.
Yes, I love it.
Hell yeah.
And then you have veteran gremlins running for office. And those gremlins are all like,
You have a one-eyed
He was in
Dan
Iraq.
Crenshaw.
Yeah, no, I'm imagining like the Situation Room from like Doctor Strangelove, and there's like a Jack D. Ripper gremlin. You know what I'm saying?
Bodily fluids. They have to, like, the Gremlins have to put the keys in at the same time.
Yeah.
To, like, launch the preemptive strike against Russia.
I'm just gonna get extremely fucked up and actually write the screenplay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm drunk. I'm sorry.
It could work. We
can make it work. If Gremlins 2 could work, we can make this work.
Okay, here's the question then.
Okay.
Here's my moral ethical question. If Hulk Hogan breaks the fourth wall in Gremlins 2, who do you get nowadays to break the fourth wall in Gremlins 3?
It has to be a woman.
You think so?
Yeah, for feminism.
Ellen? Did the Gremlins go on Ellen?
Lizzo.
Lizzo! Yes!
No, wait, Cardi B.
It's Cardi B, dude.
Yeah.
It's Cardi B. She's like, Gremlins!
No, I could definitely see like a scene where the Gremlins are like fucking like doing the nay on Ellen or whatever.
No, that's okay. That's what happens. The Gremlins, they take over the government.
Yes.
And they do end up murdering Donald Clamp, and because of like the line of succession, they've also killed the vice president. So like the Speaker of the House, who's now a Gremlin,
Fat booty Gremlin,
becomes president, and then we cut to like 10 years later in this like near post-apocalyptic scenario in the post-Gremlin presidency.
Humans are like an underclass.
Yeah,
the Gremlins have reproduced and spread so much that they're like there's no stopping them. They've now been integrated into society, and like they are now the superior race.
But then the first Gremlin president dies, and on TV all the like human broadcasters left talk about what a great guy he was.
Statesman.
Yeah, he was a real statesman.
Yeah.
And he comes out, miss me yet? But no, I mean a little bit of the production story behind it is originally because Gremlins was like a relatively low budget horror movie, the first one.
Yeah.
And it was a big hit.
Right, yeah.
And so they were gonna do Gremlins 2 without Joe Dante, who was the writer and director, or at least the director of the first one. I believe he might have a story credit. I don't know if he wrote the script, but they wanted to do it without him, and they kept trying to put it together, and it didn't work. And so eventually the Warner Brothers, the studio, like went on hands and knees back to him, begging him to come back and like direct Gremlins 2. And he said, I'll only do it if you give me 100% control over it. And they said, fine. And so he turned it into basically, because a lot of the sequel too is like a giant fuck you to the first movie.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a weird, there's a weird like meta narrative to it, like in that like the reality that it exists in, like the original Gremlins movie also exists as a movie. There's like the scene where like Leonard Maltin is like trashing it, and then the Gremlins come out and kill Leonard Maltin.
And in real life, he also trashed the original movie.
Oh yeah, did he?
In real life, he gave a really negative review, like he was doing in the film, and so then Joe Dante asked him, like, could I have the Gremlins kill you as you shit talk the original movie? And I guess he agreed to it.
What a great film.
It's so good. It's so good.
Classic.
I was going to watch, I knew we were going to talk about movies a little bit. I was going to try to watch Parasite, because I haven't seen it yet, but...
I haven't seen it either.
I started watching it on Plex today, and like, I don't know what's going on with the subtitles. Like the subtitles, like the version I've got, like, I feel like there's subtitles missing, and like, they're definitely like, they're lagging. It gets weird. Like I could tell, like I got a couple scenes into it, and like I could tell that like the subtitles I was seeing were like, the subtitles I was supposed to have been seeing like 15 seconds earlier at a different scene,
Dude, we should just do like a movie podcast. Right?
Eat the snacks.
That's right, while you watch the movie.
I did watch Knives Out last night, which was... I
haven't gotten a chance to see Knives Out.
It was good. I really enjoyed it. Originally, like, when I saw the trailer for it last year in the theater, I didn't think that... I thought it looked lame, but, like, more people, told me to watch it, and, no, I'm glad I did, because, like, I'll tell you what, again, I haven't seen Parasite, but I do know that Parasite, has a very, sort of class-conscious, class warfare themes to it. I think that Joker obviously did as well, but I think that Knives Out did as well. There was definitely, without getting into spoilers or anything, there's definitely...
Spoil away, dude.
No, but
I read the whole plot on Wikipedia, so
I didn't. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, no, you should watch it. It's cool because there's definitely, and I didn't expect it, but there's definitely like a very clear, sort of class war message to that movie as well.
Dude, you know what you should watch? That Stephen King anthology thing that we watched.
Oh, Creep Show. Have you ever seen Creep Show?
Yeah, you talked about that last week. No, yes, I have. It's probably been 15 years, but I've seen it. Yeah,
it's so fucking
fantastic,
good, dude.
fantastic.
I love it.
Have you ever seen the Stand miniseries? Is it any good?
No, but I've seen a lot of people tweeting about it. Is it like a pandemic thing?
Yeah, no, because I want to reread. I've been tweeting about it because I want to reread The Stand. It's like an apocalyptic like pandemic disease, you know.
And it got made into a miniseries?
It got made into a miniseries. I've heard it sucks.
Oh, okay.
But
wait, is that the one that they're actually doing a new miniseries?
I'm not
is it
sure.
A Stephen King thing?
Not that I've heard of.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I saw something like they are working right now actively on like a pandemic miniseries of some kind that they were doing before coronavirus happened.
Oh, I'll tell you what we should watch and like talk some more about. I'm not sure if it's out yet. I only just saw a trailer for it like a week or so ago, but I know it's coming soon. There's and I read the book. I really enjoyed it. It's called The Plot Against America. It's a book by Philip Roth.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's like an alternate history where Charles Lindbergh, like as a Nazi, as a fascist, runs against Franklin Roosevelt in 1940 and wins.
Huh.
Yeah,
but Chris, America has such a deeply democratic tradition.
It could never happen here.
It couldn't happen here.
It could never happen here. No.
Yeah.
Unthinkable.
It's not like Hitler was directly inspired by, Jim Crow era, the United States. It's not like, the only American that Hitler mentioned at all in Mein Kampf was Henry Ford. Mm-hmm. He wasn't influenced by the United States at all.
Yeah, it's not like there were.
Is for losers.
It's not like there were thousands of American Nazis that congregated at Madison Square Garden before the war.
Right. It's not like there's literally the remnants of an explicitly Nazi, German sympathizing community still here on Long Island that like still had, exclusionary, essentially whites only policies up until like 10 years ago.
I mean, look, Rome has been a republic and it will always be a republic because of its deeply democratic traditions and roots, stretching back to the overthrow of Tarquin the Third, the last Roman king, and Rome will never yet again have some kind of dynastic, autocratic rulership that will last for thousands of years. That will never happen.
I love you.
I love how we're just being so vaguely petty.
Tarquin,
the best
actually.
way to be
Tarquin,
petty.
not Tarpin. Whatever. Anyway,
I hope nobody even understands what we're talking about. No beef.
Yeah, that's
beef.
fine.
This is a
There's no beef.
beef-free podcast.
No, normal podcast.
Chris, I don't know if you've seen any of these, but I did want to talk a little bit with Cari about. We watched the entirety of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Yes.
Oh, I've seen them all. It's been quite a while, but I've seen them all. What's the what's the really good one? Is it the fourth one? The one?
The third one. The third one. Dream
really
Warriors.
Yeah.
So tight.
It's sort of like Gremlins 2 in a way that it's almost like its own like meta narrative on the franchise as a whole.
Yeah.
It's a very self-aware franchise, I think, as it goes on, especially.
No, those movies fucking rule. I should watch those again. I'll tell you what. I saw the first Nightmare on Elm Street when I was a kid, and like I was probably 6 or 7 years old.
Oh shit!
And it fucked me up. Like
I was too scared to watch them when I was a kid, dude. I was like, no thanks.
It was traumatic. I couldn't even attempt to watch another. It was probably years before I watched another horror movie. But like I remember like specifically the scene. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it now. But the scene where he kills the girl in her bedroom, right?
Oh yeah.
And she's
my God.
She's like on the ceiling and all sorts of stuff. There's like blood everywhere. And then I remember that scene, and I was just like, what the fuck?
They built a whole fucking rotating room for that.
Yeah. And then I remember like a little bit later, there's like a scene where I guess her friend or something is in the classroom, and like she sees like like hallucinates or whatever, like the body of her friend like standing there in the body bag, and like I literally couldn't sleep that night. I mean, it was like I remember like I watched it at my friend's house, and I came outside, and I was just like I was so terrified. I was like, why did I do that? I wish
in your mind it was just like what?
I wish I could just forget that. But obviously I've since seen it, and it fucking owns.
Yeah, fantastic.
It rules, dude.
I gotta say, overall, even though there are some clunkers in the later portion of the franchise, are you gonna go?
Rolo is definitely doing something.
Okay, yeah, just give us 1 second.
I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
This will be our edit moment, our little brief thing. This is where we can really say anything we want.
Yeah, we can just leave this. We can leave this in there. I like leaving the rough stuff in, man. I like this is our own sort of like meta narrative. This is where we break the fourth wall. I'll tell you what, like, I feel like by the end of this, like, I feel like day by day, my, like, detached, ironic mask or whatever is, like, slipping online, and I'm, like, becoming, like, more and more sincere. Like, I've started, like, every couple of days, like, doing a post where I just, like, ask, like, how's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? And, like, man, like, a lot of people reply to it, and, like, I try to reply to and interact with as many of the replies as possible, man. Like, anything we can do, man. Anything we can do to, like, for each other, to, like, talk to each other and try to help each other, and, like,
sure, of course,
you know, I mean, like, I'm putting this out there. Hopefully we'll include this, but, like, you know, I'm putting this out there to all the listeners, man. Like, I mean, DM me, you know, my DMs are always open. You know, if you want someone to talk to, you know, I'll talk to you. I'll do anything I can. We all need that right now, man. Like, a lot of people have replied to this shit.
Yeah, I on the nightmare movies, that what I was gonna say is, like, I a few years ago with a few buddies of mine spent a weekend and watched all of the Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah,
because there's a Friday the 13th game that we were playing a lot, and I'd never seen any of them. I saw one of the really bad ones when I was also a little kid, and, like, at least in comparison of those two franchises, which is an apt comparison because we also ended up watching Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, that's right.
Which they did
that was
in
really
the 2000s, which I think is
I enjoy
pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
But, like, all the Friday the 13th movies, I mean, again, we watched them back to back in the course of, like, you know,
less than a week, I think.
No, I mean, we watched the Nightmare on Elm Street movies in less than a week, but the Friday the 13th movies, I mean, we like treated it like it was a job. You know, we were like, we gotta, like, watch these, like, we got, as soon as the next one's done, we gotta pop in the latter one and keep going. The first, like, 4 or 5 Friday movies are okay, and then after that, it's really, there's 12 of them.
Oh yeah,
and after that, it just tanks.
They get bad, man.
And but even, like, but comparing that to the Nightmare franchise, like, even the bad Nightmare movies are still more interesting.
Yeah,
they're
good. They're very
run of the mill they're not run of the mill. What am I trying to say? Like, slasher films.
Yeah,
like they're imaginative and fantastical.
Yeah, it's not just like just schlocky, fucking violent, mindless shit. There's something
exactly.
to it.
But yeah, definitely the first one is great. The third one is probably my favorite of the series. New Nightmare is a really good one.
I like that one a lot.
That's a real meta one.
Yeah.
And then I like Freddy versus Jason. If you're familiar with both characters, those are fun. And then the remake is dog shit.
Oh my god,
terrible.
Yeah.
Wait, the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street?
Nightmare on Elm Street, yeah.
When was that?
When was the remake? No, I don't even think
2010. They had Jackie Earle Haley plays Freddy Krueger, which is a great casting decision.
I wasn't even aware of that, I don't think.
But they do, like, it's all CGI.
And the makeup is not good. I don't like the makeup.
I think with the makeup, they were trying to go for, like, what a more realistic, like, burned face would look like.
Which I don't want realistic.
Yeah, it's Freddy. A fantasy horror movie. I don't, like, because the whole idea is, like, Freddy's like he's like a dream demon.
They also, like, explicitly made him a pedophile in that, right?
Yes, that's the thing.
It was, like, a bit much.
Yeah, so in the other films,
well, yeah,
like,
he is. he is a pedophile, right?
But it's like,
but they never explicitly state that he's a pedophile, but it's obviously heavily implied.
Right.
But in the remake, it's like 100%. They directly, like, there's, like, evidence.
There's, like, a lot of focus on it, and, like, the kids
weird.
are, like, processing their trauma and stuff, and it's like, I just want to see the nightmare kill scene.
Right.
For me, the high moment in the franchise and the best kill is, and if you can cut it in here.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time, bitch.
And he, like, smashes the girl's head into the fucking TV.
What does he say? It's time for your big break
in
TV.
It's your big break in TV. Yeah. Fucking awesome.
It's so good.
Awesome.
Dude.
I don't know, it's oddly comforting to watch horror movies. And that has little to do with the current predicament we're in. I just think for me now, it's kind of fun and exciting in a way.
I love horror movies.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch To the Dawn of the Dead remake. I really always enjoy, but I'll tell you what I really want to watch, and I think it's on Plex. I can't remember if it's Return of the Living Dead. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of the ones from the mid 80s. It's the one where, do you remember there's like those like punk teens in the graveyard? Do you remember Do you know the one I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah, that's Return of the Living Dead. I think maybe part 3.
I always really
Yeah.
enjoyed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead is my favorite of the
that's a good
Romero
one.
zombie
Yeah.
ones.
I still really like the original Night of the Living Dead. It's really good.
Yeah.
I think it holds up.
That's more of like a traditional. It's a very like straightforward kind of like almost 50s-esque horror movie.
Yeah.
Even though it's from the I think 1969. My Day of the Dead is my favorite because that's the one, because they're all like, you know, the Romero ones, they have some semblance of like, you know, social issues or you know, whatever. And so the original Dawn of the Dead is supposed to be like a treatise on like, you know, consumerism and capitalism with all the zombies in the mall and stuff. And Day of the Dead is my favorite because it's just like a bunch of scientists and a bunch of military guys in like a bunker in Florida, and they're like they were tasked originally with like figuring out how do we confront the zombie crisis, and they were sent there like months ago, and now they're all just slowly going fucking insane.
I don't think I've seen
with
that
the
one.
realization that like there is no solution
I
out
don't
of
think
this
I've
crisis.
seen that one either, actually.
Oh my god,
watch
it's
this.
so fucking good. The guy there's one guy.
It is a Romero one or no?
Yeah, no, it's the Romero one, because he did Night of the Living Dead, then Dawn of the Dead, and then Day of the Dead, all separated by a decade. And then after zombie movies came back in vogue, vis-a-vis the remake,
There was one he did about 15 years ago.
that was Land of the Dead, in which he really put. It's a very like class-based movie.
Yeah, I remember like it opens up because I was dating this girl at the time who was from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, and I believe it opens up with like they're like raiding Uniontown for supplies or something.
Yeah. So in Land of the Dead, that one's not a very good movie, but Dennis Hopper plays the fucking like capitalist king.
Yeah, that's right. Who was it? Was John Leguizamo in it? Who else was in it?
Yeah, John Leguizamo is like the guy who goes
John
rebel.
Leguizamo. I hate him.
What did he ever do to you?
I don't know. Like it's ever since I was a kid. Like when I see John Leguizamo in a movie, I'm just like the vibe is off.
What the hell is he? I haven't seen him in a while. What's he been in recently?
He did a lot of one-man shows.
Did he do La Bamba when we were kids?
I don't know.
I hate it.
But anyway, Romero then after Land of the Dead, he did Diary of the Dead. That's the one
What's
I saw.
that?
Diary of the Dead is one that came out, and that was when I was in film school, and it's like about kids in film school or in college.
Oh, really?
And the whole idea is like it's like a found footage documentary film that's being filmed during the zombie outbreak, but it's like by a kid who's like in film school, and so it's really lame. Like it's the whole premise of it is like, you know, kids are too attached to their phones and taking videos.
Oh, no. They're already
and-
zombies from using technology.
Yeah, exactly. And then the very last one he did before he died was Survival of the Dead, which was supposed to be more of like a Western one, which I never saw. But Day of the Dead fucking rules. And it's also the one with the best makeup, in my opinion. The best zombie makeup. But yeah, the main guy in that who goes insane is like the colonel, like the insane army colonel in the bunker. The actor's name is Joe Pilato. And he's just on so much cocaine during that movie. And it's just a fantastic performance of him screaming. And I kind of looked like him when I was younger. And so I always knew
That's
one
you,
day
dude.
I would end up in a bunker
On a bunch of cocaine.
on a ton of drugs,
Yeah.
just screaming during the apocalypse and being incredibly unhelpful.
Any day now. Any day now. No, so I think that, I've had a craving to watch some zombie movies. Like I said, I think like The Stand is, it's very similar. I don't know. I think a lot of us are probably kind of weirdly drawn to like apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic
Sure, yeah.
fiction right now.
I love that shit, dude.
No, yeah, I've always liked it, and I always, I dreamed of one day living in it, but now I'm not so
can't
sure.
wait.
Here's the thing. I was really down for that on a kind of, quasi aesthetic level when I was like in my teens and early 20s
Yeah.
because I had the stamina to deal with
Yeah.
it. Now if the world falls apart, I'm fucked.
Yeah, if I don't have my antidepressants, I'm dead.
I always just, I just also assumed by like, by this point in my life, I would be like, living completely alone, isolated in the desert, like in a trailer with like a bunch of guns or
Right.
something. Like that's that's where I saw myself at 32. You know, I didn't think I'd be in suburban Long Island. I'm a little underprepared.
I mean, I've been training my body and mind for, over a decade.
By vaping?
No, in the art of Gunkata. The problem is the art of Gunkata is only useful in a dystopian futurist world.
Sure.
In a post-apocalyptic world, there are no guns.
You gotta fast forward, dude.
So I have to somehow, you have to freeze me now, awaken
do a Futurama.
me. Yeah, in 1,000 years, and I will be an expert and I will liberate the good peoples of Earth with my Gunkata.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Sounds good.
No, I think it's about time for me to fucking move out to the desert, man.
Dude, we should build a communist bunker.
No, Chris should just move out to the desert and open a leather and turquoise shop.
Dude.
Yes.
I mean,
you could do those bear
yes.
sculptures that they do from the trunks.
Dude, you're yes, you're nailing it.
What's that Patreon money clears?
Yeah,
Chris
That's
is
right, dude.
Once
going
that
back out
Patreon
west.
money clears, man, it's fucking survival seeds, guns, gold coins, and a fucking trailer, man.
Hell yes.
That's
dude.
it. That's it.
Those are the people that survive when the apocalypse
Those are the
happens,
people that survive. And it's funny, I almost I feel like it's damn, if I was still I should just go and ride trains or something. I would almost be I almost feel like I was better suited when I was just tramping around and hitchhiking and stuff.
No, dude, those trains have coronavirus.
Yeah,
bro.
not in the midst of a pandemic,
Fuck
bro.
that.
Don't
Can't
just
live that lifestyle, bro.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to, but I'm saying I almost would have been better suited then. I feel like I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I'm just talking out my ass here.
Well, I'm very happy that you're doing the podcast with me. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Oh no,
And
this is fantastic.
Stay cool, folks.
Yeah.
Are
There
you
it
just
is.
ending it on that?
I don't know. Do we want to do a wrap up?
Nah, let's
You
keep
want a
going.
Rolo update?
Fuck it. Yeah, give us
Yeah,
a,
fuck it.
give us a
Here's
Rolo update.
here's a Rolo update. I went out there to check on him because it sounded like he was crunching paper. He had gotten into the trash and he broke the trash open.
He loves
and
to
there
break
was
the
trash
trash open.
everywhere, and I don't know which trash he ate.
Nice.
So that'll be a nice thing for us to figure out later when our dog has diarrhea.
Man, I
That's
want a
the
dog. I
update.
want a dog. I really want a cat.
Do you want Rolo?
No, I think I'd rather have a cat. But no, I wish I had a pet right now. I really do. I think about that a
Yeah.
lot.
No, it's nice. We have him sleeping in the bed with us now, and that's really nice. It
Hell
just
yeah.
sucks when he eats trash because we're recording a podcast for 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's it. That's my Rolo update.
Ba-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
Rolo update.
Oh, how about this? Have you guys seen Death of Stalin? I think I might watch that right now.
Oh, Death of
Yes!
Stalin is
Yes!
awesome.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's
it
on
rules.
Plex.
It's so good.
I'm actually right in the middle of watching Mr. America, but as soon as I finish that, have you seen Mr. America?
No.
What's
Tim
that?
Heidecker, his last movie.
No.
No.
It's good. It's funny.
We should watch that. We should do a movie podcast. I'm serious. I think it's.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
I guess this is the movie podcast.
Yeah, watch. It's Mr. America is cool because I don't know if you've been paying much attention to what Tim Heidecker's been doing over the past couple years, but this whole sort of extended on cinema at the cinema extended universe.
Yeah, I've
that
seen
this,
a little bit
meta
of that, yeah.
universe he's been creating over the past couple years, where I guess supposedly his character from that show puts on a music festival or something and accidentally kills a bunch of festival attendees through his own negligence, and then there was a whole series on Adult Swim where he was on trial. It's the trial of Tim Heidecker, for these negligent homicide charges, and the whole thing. It's it's completely just weird procedural courtroom stuff. There's barely anything. It's bizarre. There's barely anything.
That sounds really up my alley. We should really watch
Yeah,
this
no, it
shit,
rules. And then there's that, and then but his the main antagonist of that is Rossetti, this the district attorney, and so then once that series concluded, then he started I guess about 2 years ago he switched his Twitter profile over to Tim Heidecker for DA, and then the whole bit was that he was running for San Bernardino district attorney to out of spite to unseat the guy, the prosecutor in his trial.
So is it literally just a police procedural, but with Tim Heidecker?
It's a courtroom. It's just a straight. Check it out. It's called The Trial of Tim Heidecker. But the movie now, Mr. America, it's a documentary series. It's a documentary film of him in his campaign running for district attorney to try to unseat his prosecutor in the trial. It's pretty cool. It's this very surreal, like bizarre thing that he's like been creating over the past couple years. Like again, like I said, at times like spilling over like even to his like personal Twitter account, and he's like done like interviews like totally like in character as like this version of himself that's running for DA. It's pretty.
Oh, I love that shit.
No, he
We should
rules.
watch that, dude.
I really liked. I didn't see all of it, but I saw a couple episodes of Tim and Eric's bedtime stories.
I never saw
a
that.
while ago. Oh, it's really good. It's like the same kind of manic weirdness from their original show, but it's like a horror Twilight Zone anthology thing. So, like, the first episode is the two of them. I think the second episode has Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul. And he plays like a doctor whose job it is to like remove people's toes. But he has these like nightmares at night where he's eating the toes.
Oh, dude, I would love
It's
that.
really weird shit.
Okay.
It's really good though. They're all I believe they're all like 11, 12 minutes a pop. So they're like really just concise, nice little bizarre kind of horror stories.
Something that you said made me think of the Eric Andre show. Chris, I know that Shane has seen it because I showed it to him and made him watch all the different clips. Have you seen the clips of like Stone Cold Steve Austin and these other wrestlers like just performing to no audience?
No.
Oh my god, it's so good.
No, send it to me.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm gonna send it to you right fucking now, dude. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, these are contemporary because of the virus.
Yeah, it's 100% because of the virus, and it was like Stone Cold Steve Austin is just like asking questions to the audience.
Oh, really?
And nobody's responding.
Yeah, and then it cuts to an empty audience.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then
that's
it cuts to, like,
amazing.
Weird.
The announcer guy is there, and then it goes back to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's just like, "What?" And it's like the Eric Andre show. Like that's what it's like.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's so fucking
Oh,
good.
that's so
Fantastic.
weird.
Yeah, I think we're in store, especially if this continues to go on for a number of months. We're in store for some really exciting, weird media-related events. I mean, already, you have stuff like that, and then there's also one of my personal favorite bits of the last few days is the Trapt guy just having a fucking weird MAGA meltdown. And Chris, can I just say chef's kiss to your work
Incredible work,
on that front.
I mean, I certainly didn't start it, but I've been doing my part to like, occasionally hop in to antagonize him a little bit.
Fantastic.
No, he's still going. As of, I checked in on him about, 10 minutes before we started recording, and no, he's still going.
He's gonna say the N-word, dude. He's gonna do it.
I can't believe he hasn't yet. But no, what's really funny is like it's seemingly like started out like with just like a bunch of people from like a bunch of leftists, and him. Like that seems to be how the little spat started. But like by last night, he like it was like all like other like metal and like hardcore bands and stuff. It was like all of their like some bands I've never heard of, but like they must be pretty popular. I mean, bands with like 100, 150, 200,000 followers on Twitter, and like they were all just fucking roasting him. It was
They were
so
like
funny.
posting pictures of like their shows to show that they had like more people on their show. I was awake at 3 a.m. looking at this dude. Like that's my life right now.
It was so funny, dude. I just like at what point, like how does that self-awareness never kick in that you're just making an ass out of yourself and you just need to cut and run?
He thinks he's righteous, dude. Like he's got like the power of like denying white privilege exists on his side. Like,
It's
he thinks
unbelievable.
he's doing a public service of some kind.
Okay, what's the countdown for him doing a PragerU video?
Oh god. Oh gosh.
I'm calling it now.
Well, what's really funny is that, like, I've noticed, like, if you look at like the stuff he's replying to, and the people that are replying to him, they'll be like, like out of like 15 replies, like calling him a fucking bitch and a pussy and a big baby and like making fun of him and stuff. Then there'll be like the one reply from like deplorable Pam, like with the 3 stars from Michael Flynn or something, like, oh, I thank you for speaking out. I've never heard of you, but you just got yourself a fan. And then he'll like
That rules, dude.
Imagining them all listening to now that shitty music.
Dude.
Forcing their kids who are now stuck home with them from college to listen and be like, oh, here's some cool rock music from Trapt. They're MAGA. They're red pilled.
Guys, when the pandemic is over, if there's still like a society, we have to go to a Trapt show.
Well, no, I was looking up their tour.
Yeah. Well, it has to be canceled, right?
Well, yeah, obviously, of course. But no, I was looking looking up like some of like the types of venues they played, and like they played at this. It's like 3 blocks away from me. It's called Revolution Music Hall. It's like at a bar. It's like because like I'm always like looking at it because I know they've got like bands that play there. I'm like, who the fuck plays at this place? And like I'm like checking the schedule to see if there's anybody worth seeing or anybody I've even heard of, and it's all just like local like dad rock cover bands and stuff, and apparently also Trapt.
It's like the goth bands I listened to in high school and Trapt. That's it. They're all middle-aged.
That's good.
Oh, I just got a notification from LinkedIn saying, how is COVID-19 affecting hiring around the world? See the data.
Jeez, I wonder.
That's my main concern.
I love all the weird promo emails that like companies and stuff are sending out about the pandemic. Yeah.
We have a promo code for you in case you want to buy a hair mask. We're here for you.
I've been getting weird. I'm sure you guys have as well. Like the Google or like ads, like all like the the targeted advertisements and stuff. I've been getting like ads for like some fucking kind of like UV fucking antibacterial thing, you know what I'm talking about? Like I've been getting I've been getting ads for like obviously like the masks. I've been getting ads for like sanitizers, but like I got this ad that was like I guess it was like a picture of an iPhone and then like this like little handheld like thing, and they were like pointing it at the phone. It was like some sort of like ultraviolet fucking ray, like germ killing, virus killing thing to like sanitize your phone or something. I don't know.
That's so weird.
I got an email today, and I think I'm gonna read it.
Please do.
Because it's just that good. I got an email from Navient, which is the company that manages my student loan repayments.
Okay.
All right, I'm just gonna read this entire thing here.
Okay.
And then give my response. Shane, we're here if you need us. We think it's important for you to know that Navient is monitoring the news and staying abreast of the changing developments with COVID-19, in parentheses, coronavirus, in case you didn't know what you We want to assure you that the health and safety of our customers and employees is our top priority. Should we experience any interruptions in service, we'll immediately post updates online at navient.com, and there's a link. Additionally, we're aware of the president's announcement regarding the waiving of interest on federally held student loans, and are working closely with the Department of Education to implement this change. We will share more details as they become available.
Eat shit.
If you experience difficulty making payments, visit us online and review the repayment options section for lowering or temporarily postponing payments. Keeping our commitment to serve you during this unfolding situation is our focus. Please visit navient.com for any additional updates. Thank you. So I'm just my response to that is I haven't paid Navient any money since, I want to say 2015. And that's not changing.
Yeah.
That's not changing as of now.
Yeah.
So get fucked. Student loan repayments.
Additional update, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I could postpone my payments. How about indefinitely? Because that's already what I'm planning on doing. I will never pay you another dime more.
I wonder if this is like actionable legally that you're saying this on a podcast.
Oh, okay. Here,
well, they have to pay to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay the exact amount of shitty student loans.
A new Patreon tier.
Yes.
Just for Navient officials and employees, $90,000 a month. If you can pay that, by all means, you can listen to me say this. No, I ain't paying that. And it's ridiculous that they would send this update and position it in the most bullshit way of like, oh, we care about you.
Right.
When all they're doing is acknowledging what the president already sniped and said without their approval, which is that, you don't have to pay. Because, by the way, to be clear, what the president had said during that press conference and what is being reflected by this email is that the interest on your loans is no longer due.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they want or expect you to stop paying the loans. You still have to pay a monthly payment.
Sure.
It's just we're not going to be accruing interest for, however long in this indeterminate period.
Did you see that viral post from like a landlord to the tenants that was like,
oh, there's been several.
Yeah, there was one that was really bad that was like, make sure that you make paying your rent a priority because we don't want you to be homeless.
There was one that was like, you're not one of those people living paycheck to paycheck, are you?
Oh, I saw that. That was like a text. Like they sent that directly to someone.
Yeah, and then like a smiley face emoji.
It was like a joke to them. Like, go fuck yourself, bitch. Sorry, I can't curse that much on your podcast.
No, you're fine. Please do.
No, you can. No, we say fuck, shit,
Yeah.
piss. You're fine. I don't care. I have a trump card that I am waiting to play at any moment.
What's that?
I'm not gonna say it now.
Well, now you can say the B word because there's a woman here, so it's like that's your pass.
No, I don't mean that.
Oh, okay, my bad.
What I mean is that I have a fully comprehensive academic justification for
yes.
everything I have said or any of us have said.
That's right.
On this program.
Shane talks about this a lot because I worry about like getting caught by my job for stuff that I say online, and he's taught me to only say stuff that's defensible. So like now when I tweet, I'm like, how will I defend this when HR calls me into a meeting?
Right, exactly.
It's a good method.
Hell yeah.
You're a smart boy.
I have nothing. I just don't care because I have nothing to lose. that's the other answer.
The most surreal shit, I gotta say. I mean, I know this is like old news, and I might have said this on the show once, but we went to like a Christmas party at my department, and it had like all the other academic people there, all the faculty, all the administrative people, all the other students, and like multiple people came up to me because this was obviously in late December or whatever. Yeah. Multiple people came up to me and they're like, "Do you do a show with Muller Dad 16?"
Oh, that's so good, dude.
And to each one of them, I was just like, "Yeah,
that's right." That's right.
Yeah." And they were like, "Did he do that thing where he claimed to be a Starbucks employee?" And I said, "No, he is one, and what he did was right."
Yes. That's so weird, dude.
Yeah, it's weird that like I certainly don't want that to be my legacy, but like that seems that seems to be the thing that like people know me for, and people like keep like it's almost every day like in my replies someone makes a reference to that, and at this point I'm just like, can we just move on?
It's legendary though, dude.
It's good,
legendary. Dude. You're like, okay, to circle back all the way to the beginning of the conversation.
Okay.
Whoa.
In the same way that the Mad Max films are always told from this future point, right? Like that's how people will view you in this time of crisis, but the legend will then grow and build to the point where it's not that you were just an employee at Starbucks, it's that you were driving the Starbucks war rig that was hauling coffee cola across the wasteland.
People will think you weren't real.
Yeah, some people won't even know you existed.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, dude. Fan theory on Mad Max, you said in the other ones they were like using him as a vehicle to like explain their history.
Yeah.
What if canonically he's not even real?
It could be.
It's like a religious thing almost.
It
where
could
they're like
be.
telling their stories of their history and like playing it up.
It could be. Again, that's what's so interesting about Dark Age mythology, right? Is that like, and I do think that that's the thing that I often like in my when I truly do feel like dark, that's what I think about, right?
Like more than when you talk about World War I.
Yes, like in the real dark moments are when I shut up entirely.
I don't even think I've seen that.
Yeah, no, it's gotta get real bad. But like I think about what the future civilizations will think about our moment, because certainly even just on like an energy consumption level, it's like unconscionable, like what we've done, and it's entirely unsustainable. And there'll be like, we will all end up in one way or another, whether named specifically or just talked about in broad cultural strokes or as part of some kind of statistical information. We will all be a part of a history that is looked at from 1,000 years from now. And
if humans still exist.
That's optimistic.
Yeah, that's very optimistic.
but here again, like I do think it's very likely that even if we hit a dark age, humans will recover in some way.
Yeah, we always do, right?
But the question, it just won't be, we won't like necessarily recover and then ascend into some other greater thing. It could be, civilization recovers and reconstitutes itself in different places in different ways, and kind of more pre-industrial situations.
It's hard to fathom that.
And I think about like in terms of digital media in particular, right? Like there's this sense that we have, having grown up in the midst of its ascendancy, that all of this shit will be around forever. Yeah. And most likely it won't. And in the same way, like when we extract information from the dark ages of our past, they're always fragments. They're never whole things. Right. So like, for example, one of the reasons why like we have Beowulf is like that's one of the only stories that we have records of from that time, right? And that's why it becomes famous and then becomes emblematic of that age. Not necessarily because it was the best written thing during that time. It's just that's all that was left.
God.
And so sometimes I think about like 1,000 years from now, when people are exploring the outer wastelands outside the crop fields that are built around their little cul-de-sac, they might find some flickering router or some self-contained hard drive that still has a little bit of information on it. And what are they going to find expand on that? You know, is it going to be something instructive and useful about how to rebuild, you know, industrial civilization? Or is it going to be like, you know, Muller Dad 69 saying, like, I'm at Starbucks and I'm discriminating against people of our history.
And they're gonna be like, this was the government.
Or maybe it'll be this episode, and if you're listening 1,000 years from now, all I have to say is I'm so sorry.
It's gonna be. I love to think about like people in the future seeing memes, like somebody seeing like the money printer go burr meme and being like, oh, this was the Federal Reserve. This is how people 1,000 years ago really looked at.
And so
their
again,
finances.
if you're listening to this in that far off future time, I want to say humbly, I'm sorry, and for the sake of your own edification, I take 100% responsibility. Me, Dwight Rhinoceros, that was my Twitter that was my name.
Twitter is a website.
and you can write down in your history that it was all his fault.
That's right. Also, gremlins are real.
At that point, they might be.
Yeah, that will be proven to be true.
Oh, fuck.
Actually, it's very
That's
conceivable.
what ended the world.
Well, it's conceivable they're the ones who find it.
Yeah.
And they're like, eat the rich.
The brainy gremlins. We teach communism to the brainy gremlins of the future.
Means of production.
Marx failed to account for gremlins, dude.
Stay cool, folks.
Stay cool.
For real this time.
And we outro with the Gremlins theme.
Perfect.
Hell yeah.